Okay, so I've been trying to get this series of videos out for a while. This is a long story time. I am DMing a game that is being streamed by Dammit Jonah. And the title of the campaign is Frosty Dungeons. We will be doing it on Dammit Jonah's Twitch channel on Saturdays, starting on the 14th. It's only going to be 4 Saturdays. We did one the previous Thursday. So it was a stream to build Dammit Jonah's character because he had never played before, and a small training dungeon to get the newer players, to understand the rules of D&D. One day I will have the equipment to probably record it. Technology, I will be storytelling it. So what I'm basically going to be doing is summarizing what we did on the stream. Currently the video is still available on Dammit Jonah's Twitch channel. And I really plan my life to be doing more online streaming as a DM for newer players. Because as a society, and going through what we're doing right now, we're going to be going into a really antisocial world, and we need social outlets. And for me, D&D is one of the best platforms for that, and I want to do this for people. The opening of Frosty Dungeons. 4 people wake up in a cold stone room in darkness. It's not. And one lights a torch to brighten the room. There is a dragonborn called Kriv. There is a tiefling called Finesse, Silvertongue. There is a wood elf called Iron. There is a snow leopard tabaxi called Winter. The one with the torch is Kriv, the dragonborn. And in this square room is ice cold stone. The tiefling Finesse finds this shiny floor, and he rolled a 1, and thus, after a moment of just a glint of it, he just decides, I'm gonna lick that because I want to see what the tile tastes like. And his tongue freezes to the floor. Kriv the Dragonborn goes to explore this ceramic bowl, which has water in it, and in the water is a red key. And when Kriv puts his hand near the key, it is warm. Kriv picks up the key and finds that the red hot key is basically burning his hand, so he drops it back into the ceramic bowl. Luckily, Kriv is a fire dragonborn, so it does not hurt him as much as it would someone who is not resistant to fire. Luckily for Finesse, Iron comes over the wood elf to remove his tongue safely. Winter, the snow leopard tabaxi, goes to inspect the hand of the dragonborn and introduces himself as Winter. There is a quick medicine check, and it is discovered that Kriv is fire resistant because he is a fire dragonborn of gold scales, which make him resistant to fire. Finesse the tiefling would thank Aaron the wood elf for freeing his tongue, and then he would go inspect the bowl with the others. And with his perception check, he would also spy a tapestry nearby the bowl. The tapestry has on it a backdrop of a tundra biome, and in the picture is also the form of a combination of a humanoid and a reindeer. Kriv goes over to the place that Finesse had gotten his tongue stuck, and checking with the light, he's able to see that there's clearly black ice there on a small flight of 4 stairs descending down a hall. The wood elf Iron would actually suggest that Kriv use his fire breath to melt the ice after seeing how thin it is. And Kriv is easily able to do this with his fire breath. It causes the ice to evaporate into the air. After making the ice basically evaporate, Kriv gives a deep bow and says, "At your service." Winter checks the tapestry and recognizes that his goddess is on it in a very romanticized form, because normally she's not in a humanoid reindeer form, but that's the one she's in the tapestry. She's a very fearsome tundra goddess. The tundra goddess Aguta. Finesse the tiefling would actually ask Winter about the tapestry, and Winter would explain that Aguta is the tundra goddess that his tribe has been worshipping since he's been born. She is the personification of winter and darkness. Her name translates to Gatherer of the Dead, and that is because she eats them. Upon hearing "eats me," Kriv is a little startled with that, and he leans down to Iron and says, "That's mildly terrifying." And Iron would say back, "I think that's really cool." All the characters discuss the possibility of the stone walls being a temple for Aguta, the tundra goddess. Finesse would be able to have a rag, and takes the rag to wrap the key in it and remove it from the water without getting burned. The red hot key is within the cloth that Finesse has, and it feels like a hot coal, but it does not catch on fire. And since they had observed earlier, Kriv is more fireproof, so Finesse gives the key to Kriv to hold. So the party comes down the hallway, and Aaron rolls a very nice perception check, and they are able to find out one of the walls. It's not like the others. A section of wall. Iron pushes the section of wall like domino, it falls forward. And inside is a small room, which holds some very nice-looking fuzzy boots. And Iron's feet ache to try them on, because they are magical and fuzzy. They are boots of the Winterland. Kriv congratulates Iron with a small slap on the back and says, "Damn, them are some nice boots." And the characters actually introduce themselves to each other more, before Kriv runs down the hall and finds that there's a doorway at the end of it, and on the door knob is a block of ice. And Kriv is not making the connection that the key will probably help melt the ice to unlock the door. But Winter does, and asks Kriv to get the key to use on the door, which eventually gets the door open. And of course Kriv immediately opens the door. Upon opening the next door, Finesse draws his second weapon, which he first drew his first weapon when Iron pushed the domino door down, and Winter had drawn his shield. The room they enter is a large one. It's circular. There's a wide stone path going around the entire room, but in the middle is really, really cold water, and in the middle of the water is more stone, which is connected to the circular path via bridge. And on that island is a treasure chest that is brown and wooden, and it sticks out of the room because it's not stone. It's also 5 by 10 feet in dimension, and as soon as Kriv sees it, he runs over to it and flings open the top of the box because it was not locked. Because he saw Iron get those really nice boots, and he's looking for some really cool stuff too. And what he finds in the chest are bones, really large bones. The whole party gathers around the chest, and are slightly disappointed by the bones in the chest. And the bones shudder, and they start to formulate themselves into a humanoid shape, and it rises out of the chest. The bones reach 10 feet high. It's clad in rusted armor and weapons. It shudders and shrugs its shoulders, getting its humanoid shape in order. Kriv waves at the skeleton and says, "Good morning." Finesse attacks. Initiative is called. Iron looks up at the skeleton and asks where it is from. And the gigantic skeleton replies by groaning, but this is not groaning by vocal cords. This is groaning, grinding of bones. And the second response to that question is drawing a sword. And Iron is terrified because the skeleton is twice their height. And I will mention here that Iron is a wood elf with the blessing of Corlon. And elves with the blessing of Corlon are able to choose their gender, or no gender at all, at the beginning of each day. And presently, Iron is in a masculine-looking way. And Iron, in response to that skeleton drawing a sword, draws a small utility knife because that's all the little wizard has. Finesse casts Ray of Frost and freezes one of the skeleton's legs. Kriv states that he does not know the intention of this gigantic skeleton who wields a sword, and Finesse says, well, it's wielding a sword, it's really hostile. So Kriv safely moves away from the skeleton, over the bridge. The skeleton then looks down at its frosty leg and does not like that. The skeleton takes his sword and slashes down on Finesse and cuts his shoulder open, his left shoulder. Winter the Tabaxi moves over to Finesse and casts guidance on him, which gives him a boost in strength for his next attack. Iron decides to not anger the beast. Finesse checks the intention of the large skeleton wielding a sword, and it's pretty clear to see that this skeleton is not happy. It's actually really cranky about being woken up. So it is indeed hostile. After confirming the hostility of the creature, Finesse attacks the one frozen leg with both swords, and is able to shatter the already frozen leg, leaving it only stable on one leg. It balances there awkwardly on one leg. Kriv moves along the outer ring of the room, and looks down the hallway, not from the one they came from, but the next one that's going into the next area. But he can't get quite that far yet, so he only makes a little bit of judgment, and it's just more hallway. So he takes a dagger and is able to hit the other leg that the skeleton is bouncing on, and with that knife, the whole skeleton crumbles and bones scatter on the floor. The battle. Finesse is able to pick up the dagger and inspect it, finding it to be a normal dagger. And Kriv is able to inspect the liquid, finding it to be super cold water. It is so cold that when Kriv sticks a finger in and retracts his finger, there is a layer of ice on his finger. Ah, yes. And Finesse had been able to find 32 gold pieces within the chest. And Finesse returns Kriv's dagger to him. Kriv asks about what Finesse found in the chest, and Finesse would divide up the gold 4 to himself, 9 to Winter and Kriv, and then 10 to Iron. Winter actually asks, who's hurt after the battle? Sound off. And as they take time to inspect themselves, Finesse is the only one that got hurt in the battle. And being a blue tiefling that is a noble, he has blue blood. Sky blue blood. Winter would wrap the wound and stop it from bleeding further. Both Finesse and Winter would explore a few of the walls around the room. And all in all, they find it to be a sound structure built from dwarves. The party moves along down the hall, and around the corner is a wall of ice. Within that wall of ice, it is shaped as a throne would be. And on this ice throne, in the cup of it, sitting is a humanoid deer person. She is very pretty, and Kriv's first words out of his mouth is, "OF. OF." And this creature is naked, and covered mostly in fur. She is quite obviously female, but has antlers, like a reindeer. And Kriv continues to say, "OF." Kriv and Iron move away from the creature, and Winter and Finesse move closer to inspect the creature. And this creature is watching them. And she is very recognizable from the tapestry they had seen earlier. Finesse goes down on one knee to show respect, and Winter full-on goes down on both knees with head to the ground. And Kriv reminds Aaron, as they move out of the way, "Didn't that goddess eat people?" And Aaron would say yes, Winter did mention that. Winter would be able to analyze the look upon the goddess, and of the few emotions that Aguta has, amusement is one of the better emotions on her, which means she's not hungry or angry. And Kriv starts smacking Aaron on the back of the neck and continuously asking what's happening, because he's cowering behind the wizard. The Tundra Goddess would rise from the throne, and Aguta would walk forward at a salute. Winter cowers down as the goddess rises to approach, and Finesse follows suit of what Winter is doing. And the Tundra Goddess Aguta would come close and reach out with both hands and start petting both Finesse and Winter on the heads. Meanwhile, Kriv is still smacking Iron in the back of the neck, saying, "What the F is going on?" The Tundra Goddess is simply petting them both, and Winter tries so hard, but cannot resist and starts to purr. Yes, purr like a cat. Griv mentions, if this goes sexual, he's out of here. Aaron responds equally, I agree, but if you hit me in the back of the neck again, I'm gonna elbow you. Which is understandable because they are the wizard and glass cannon. The Tundra Goddess, Aguta, would move on from the two and go towards the other two and come to Aaron. She cocks her head at Aaron, and after a moment of inspection, moves on. And upon moving towards Kriv immediately moves up on the other side of the wizard. Keep in mind, this is a really tall dragonborn standing behind a smaller elf, and the goddess actually genuinely laughs, amused. She has a nice hearty laugh. After the goddess laughs in amusement, Kriv finds some courage, and Kriv would lay his arms on Aaron's shoulders, and Kriv would just ask the goddess, do you even speak? And Aguta responds simply by smiling, and you may expect that she has flat teeth like a deer or other humanoid. But no, she has sharpened teeth. And Kriv leans way back. And with that, Aguta would turn her back on them and walk down the path of the circular room. And what filters in around her is a cold fog. And that cold fog then envelops the vision of all of the players. And, after a moment, all of the characters wake up in their beds where they were last sleeping. They all had a collective dream. Kriv and Winter woke up in separate rooms at an inn, the three-headed dog inn. Finesse and Aaron wake up from studying in Aaron's house. They were studying. And both of these locations are in a keep called Purdy's Rest. They all wake up with memories, and they all wake up with stuff. Stuff being Aaron's boots, everyone has the gold that they collected, Finesse has his injury, and Winter just starts praying immediately. Finesse and Aaron decide to research the Tundra Goddess. Kriv initially came to Purdy's Rest to start his glass-blowing career, because Purdy's Rest is the safest place in the tundra. Kriv would shake off the dream that they had collectively, putting it out of his mind, and he's on the trail to look for an apartment. And he is directed to talk to Rollo, who is also the runner of the inn, but he also rents out apartments. Kriv mentions to Rollo that he had a strange dream, and Rollo responds with, well, I've heard when you're in strange spaces, you have strange dreams. Kriv says thank you for the bed, and where can I get breakfast? Because Kriv came in after the gates closed at sundown. He found the inn, paid for a few nights, and then went to bed. So Rollo would ask, well, are you looking for good food, or are you looking for good company? And Kriv asks, can I not get both? Rollo responds with, well, there are 2 taverns in this rest, and I'd like to direct you to the place that would better please you. The one with better food has a bakery, and the one with better company is right next door. Kriv thanks Rollo, and Rollo recommends he try the bunny buns, because he's chosen the tavern with better food. So Winter prays to his goddess because he just had a dream about her, and in his prayer he feels more connected to the earth than he did when he went to bed. Winter takes the good grounded feeling from his goddess as he prays. It's a good sign that he's not overhunting the area, because that is generally a sign that the Tundra Goddess is upset. That's when she eats people. Head pets are a good sign from the Tundra Goddess. Winter takes his goods that he'd come to Purdy's Rest with to Lancaster the leatherworker. Aaron is able to do research on Aguta, the Tundra Goddess, using the Elven library at their disposal. Aguta has been a goddess before the first snowfall. They are an ancient being, an ancient goddess, tied to the elemental tundra. Aguta is the manifested form of the tundra. She simply devours the people who do not survive. Aguta is a very druidic goddess, a very non-evil, non-good, very neutral, aligned. She's a very animalistic goddess. And head pets are a good sign. Amusing the goddess is also a good sign. However, they do not find pictures of the young, more modern goddess that they lay their eyes upon. The older pictures are much scarier. It begins with a picture of a reindeer skull, attached to a dark, furry humanoid body, with elongated fingers and claws, and they have the hindquarters of a reindeer, only stretched and elongated. Very strange. Very unsettling to look at, and of course, the sharp teeth. Aaron tries to research the first snowfall, which is rumored to be about as old as Aguta is, and that is where the point of history and mythology blurs for the young wood elf, because you really can't put a date on the elements like that. Finesse's mother is the captain of the guard, and he has not heard from her in several days, and none of the guards there have seen her. Kriv walks into the Rose and Sparrow Tavern. There's a smell of baked goods wafting from the kitchen. He meets a bubbly half-elf at the counter, who is in a wheelchair. Kriv introduces himself, and he buys a bunny bun, which the baker recommends. Kriv buys 5 bunny buns from Kirky, the baker. 1 bunny bun is a meal. So Kriv asks Kirky, do you know of any spaces around here that I can rent as an apartment and as a shop? And Kirky responds, I know just the person. You need to talk to Rollo, the innkeeper. Kriv dramatically thumps his fist upon the table, and he says, damn it, I was just there. And Kirky understands. She says, honey, I know it's early, and you just need some food before you did anything this day. It's early. Winter goes to the leatherworker, Lancaster. Lancaster is a very down-to-earth human. Winter lays down his stuff, his pelts, his bones, whatever came from animals, and he would judge the stuff. Lancaster, the leatherworker, would scrutinize the stuff that Winter bought him, and then he puts down a price that he would want to pay Winter. And Winter agrees to 2 gold for his pelts. So for the pile of rabbits that Winter brought in, 2 gold. Good price, good fur. Winter would go to the bakery and meet Winter warmly. Winter buys a bunny bun and some tea. And for that, the bunny bun is 1 silver piece, and the tea is 2 copper pieces. Winter engages in friendly conversation with Kirky. They discuss how the winter has been mild in the tundra. Winter brings up that he had a dream about his goddess, Aguta. Kirky inquires if Winter had been eaten in the dream. Winter says, no, actually I got head pats. Kirky says. Winter expresses that he feels more connected to the earth, like 2 more ropes added to a thicker one. And Kirky says it sounds like a good omen. So Winter would take his bunny bun and tea outside to enjoy. Aaron and Finesse have gone to the Good Company Tavern, which is the Mug and Fife, and while Aaron is researching, Finesse goes and gets food and drink at the bar. At the counter, there is a half-elf named Mingus, and there is no tea there is only ale. Finesse would be able to recognize Mingus because she has the really large boobs, almost falling out of her top. She's very chipper. She says, good morning, what can I do for you? Aaron makes the lovely name association of Dingus and Mingus. Finesse actually talks to Mingus and asks her for 2 morning specials and a couple of waters. And Mingus bangs on the wall and says, I'd like 2 morning orders! Finesse has admired Mingus's bouncy figure from afar. Finesse would know that she runs a clean business. And Mingus keeps the rowdy drunks on the street. It turns out that Finesse is lazy in the morning, and he only wants to make 1 trip back and forth from the bar to the table. And he does succeed his dexterity saving throw. He's able to get the food and the drinks to the table all in one piece. Finesse is super proud of himself, and he states that 2 trips are for the week. Aaron eats the food and feels fine. The food is a little bland, but it's okay. Good eating. Finesse eats the food and he feels sick, nauseous. After failing his con save, something was not right about those eggs. It is revealed that the cook has a slight crush on Mingus, and the cook does not like Finesse talking to Big Mingus, so he may have messed with Finesse's order. As Finesse pays for the order, he tips Mingus 3 silver pieces to get back at the cook and gives Mingus a wink, and Mingus winks back and opens her shirt to throw the 3 silver in, and lets it snap closed. And he does it mostly to get back at the cook for the eggs, because apparently Finesse doesn't do it as a flirty action. Kriv enters Rolo's inn dramatically, kicking open the door and biting into a bunny bun and shouting, Rolo! What the hell, dude? Rolo looks to the left. Rolo looks to the right. He looks confused. Kriv runs over to the desk and slams his hands down on the table and states to Rolo, Rolo, you know I want a place to stay and work. She didn't tell me anything. Kriv would wag his finger in front of his face, start laughing. And Rolo would simply say, you had asked about breakfast, and I did not think you were in the mind to talk about business yet. Calm down, friend. No rush. Kriv would smile and laugh and bite into his bunny bun again, with his elbows on the table. And he states, Rolo, I'm always in the mood to talk about business. And Rolo would simply state, now that you have a bunny bun in your system. And Kriv says, Rolo, it is not the bunny bun. At least Rolo says, it's the bunny bun. It's the magic of the bunny bun. Kriv says, okay, it might be the bunny bun, but now I am ready. And Kirky told me to come back and talk to you. I can talk to you about rentals and start up my business. Rolo would then point out the direction of the apartments outside, which requires opening the door. And here there was a small unicorn moment with the meta party, where the one player Meg had put a unicorn in her chair to take a bio break, and I just feel like that should be memorialized forever in a video. Finesse hears the dramatic thud from Kriv next door at the inn, and he decides to go investigate with Aaron to see what's up. And Finesse would be able to see this very animated dragonborn and immediately recognize him from his dream. So in the threshold of the 3-headed dog inn, Finesse, Aaron, and Kriv would meet once again after their dream experience. Rolo holding open the door because his intention was to point out the apartments to Kriv. Finesse would call out to Kriv to get his attention. Upon hearing his name, Kriv would perk up, look around, head snap around. Kriv looks between Aaron and Finesse several times, and the gears are working, and his eyes bug out as he starts to remember. And Finesse would ask, Kriv, do you remember having a dream about being in an ice-cold dungeon? A frosty dungeon, if you will. Smoke pours out from the ear holes of Kriv's skull, and his jaw drops. And Aaron would ask if Kriv's hand is okay. Kriv is totally bewildered, shocked that he's recognizing people from his dream. And Kriv looks at his hand, finding it, more healed than before since it's had time. And upon inspection, they would all remember the key is still in the door in the dungeon. Kriv backs up and says, how do you know stuff? Do I know you? Kriv does not want to reveal that he knows only from the dream. Kriv is looking for evidence for them to give him, to really see if he only remembers them from his dream. And then Winter is eating outside, and the door is open at the 3-headed dog inn. So Winter is hearing this outside, and he's having a moment of, oh my god, they're real. Oh, they're real! So he runs over to the group, as Finesse is reintroducing himself to Kriv. And Winter has beelined over to the group, to confirm or deny that he recognizes those voices. And Winter actually takes Kriv's hand and inspects it, looking for a wound from the dream. Really not finding evidence of it, he's like, I'm sure it was this one. Kriv pulls back because there is this tension of not knowing the difference between reality and a dream is still evanescence. And then Winter leaves Kriv alone to check on Finesse and see if his shoulder is alright. And Winter would remove the coat enough to see the bandages and sees that the bandages are there. Winter states, oh my god, it was not just a dream. And Aaron would say, this is weird. And Finesse whispers back to Aaron, indeed, it is. Kriv would come up behind Aaron and Finesse and say, what are we whispering about? And Finesse says, that does not concern you, friend. Everyone recounts waking up from the dungeon. Finesse asks Winter if this would be outside of his goddess's power. Kriv is trying to take all this in, and eventually he says, I need a drink. And Rolo, who has been observing them all, and upon realizing that Rolo is there, Kriv tries to give him a high five, but remembers that he's a small folk and lowers his hands, and once the hand is lower, Rolo would return a high five. And collectively, the party seems to wrap up. They seem to decide that they need to discuss this over a drink. So that is where this part of the story blends into the unknown, as we will once again can pick up when the campaign starts at the 14th. That concludes the training episode I had, and everyone was doing very well role-playing. It was Frosty Dungeons Sub-Zero, because it was taking the place of a Session Zero. There will be 4 parts, 4 Saturdays we are playing. It is a tester campaign. So if you like my summary of the story and want to know what happens next, please tune in November 14th. Damn it, Jonah. Twitch TV. Let's keep this going. Let's see what happens. These characters bumping into each other in the dream world. Light is a happy goddess contacting them. Will Kriv get his shop? Will Finesse find his mother? Will Winter understand his goddess and her intentions? Will Aaron satisfy his curiosity? November 14th. Damn it, Jonah Twitch TV. See you there. Everyone is welcome.